They inspired you to do this, didn't they?
Yes.
And to see them casting stones in your direction.
It's difficult.
Hey everyone, this is Elon Musk. He is worth nearly $350 billion. But not only that, he is the most inspirational businessman our time has known. Do you have a dream of being a successful entrepreneur? Do you feel trapped in your 9-to-5 or frustrated by an unreasonable boss? Or maybe you're a stay-at-home parent who'd like to build something amazing on your terms. Perhaps you have your own story you want to tell. Either way, you're in the right place. Today, I'm going to show you how to start your own business, even if you haven't got a clue where to begin. Sound good? Right, let's crack on. This video will show you 6 steps that will make you money while minimizing risk. Plus, at the end of this video, I am going to share a golden nugget that will make the difference between success or failure in your business. So let's get into it. First, you need a business idea, but don't stress. You don't need to invent the next Facebook. You can narrow down your idea in 3 different ways. What is the pain you have experienced for a long period of time and would like to solve? For example, you like sugar-free snacks that do not cost a fortune. So you may have probably been making them at home and are already familiar with few easy recipes and perfect portion sizes. Skill. What are you skilled at and do as your day job? If you use the skill, then you are already miles ahead, as there is proof for the demand and that people pay money for this service. Passion. You will need to be passionate about your next move. Without passion, you will struggle, and here is why.
It's like starting a company is like staring into the abyss and eating glass. And there's some truth to that. The staring into the abyss part is that you're going to be constantly facing the extermination of the company. Because most startups fail. It's like 90%, arguably 99% of startups fail. So that's the staring into the abyss part. You're constantly saying, okay, if I don't get this right, the company will die. It's going to be quite stressful. And then the eating glass part is you've got to do the problems. You've got to work on the problems that the company needs you to work on, not the problems you want to work on.
There is also another really important reason why you should be passionate about your idea, but we will come to it in step 6. Passion will help you get to the bottom of every nuance that will make you a standout success, because you will develop the deep understanding of the problem or product, which will make it more fail-proof. Top entrepreneurs spend most of their time, day and night, thinking about every aspect of the problem they are trying to solve. For example, if you carry something from your childhood and have been trying to solve it ever since, imagine the competitive advantage you will have over someone who just copycats the commonly known information. In addition, it makes a compelling pitch and gives people a reason why they should care about your product or service over someone else's. People want to see the obsession. You also need to be clear what your financial goal is: 100,000, 1 million, 10 million, or 100 million. The bigger the goal, the narrower the path. If you want to be the richest person in the world, then there is only few things that can achieve that. However, $1 to $10 million goal could be achieved with pretty much any business. Once you have the idea, move on to step 2. Step 2. Validate your idea. Right. Let's not make the classic mistake of starting a business that nobody actually wants. How do we check? Easy. This step will make sure you do not waste too much money or lose your house and last of your savings. You must find out if there is a market for your service, and by that market we mean people other than your mum and best friends. If you follow a trend, you need to work out if it's a short or long-term play. Where attention goes, money flows.
Well, first of all, I think if somebody is doing something that is useful to the rest of society, I think that's a good thing. Like, it doesn't have to change the world.
Start by searching for similar businesses on social media and see if people engage with them and in what numbers. You will need a decent market size, since you will only capture a small percentage of it. Use Google's Gemini Deep Research to understand trends and market for your product or service. It's an excellent research model that will go through hundreds of websites and papers within minutes to give you a summary of key trends, features, and what people are really after. 80% of startups fail because the product is based on too small a sample of potential customers. For example, the founder and their close circle. Once you have established what people want, create a prototype or launch a service as cheaply as possible. Do not create something expensive yet, as it will most likely change. Accept that you will have to go through several feedback loops before you launch to the masses. In order to succeed as a new entrant, it's essential to be at least 10% better than competition, because clients generally need to have a compelling reason to pick a new provider over the trusted and known. So, make sure you analyze your competition fully, understanding their strengths and weaknesses. Now, the final test to validate your idea is pre-sales and waiting lists. The best way to confirm product market fit is to create a waiting list and get people to pay deposit. If enough people are willing to pay, that means you have something special. Once you have some product market fit, work out the cost and pricing. You don't need a 50-page business plan, but you do need a roadmap and some basic maths. Start by working out what will it cost you to make the product or provide the service. Include your time at the going rate. There are 1,000 different ways to monetize products. Watch out for future videos on this. However, start by looking at what your competitors are doing.
Profit. In fact, profit just means that people are paying you more for whatever you're doing than you're spending to create it. That's a good thing. and if that's not the case, then you'll be out of business, and rightfully so. Because you're not adding enough value.
You may need to be a bit cheaper and offer deals to start off with. That does not mean you can't charge premium in the future. At the very least, you should be at par with the competition. As a startup, do not make a mistake of thinking you have the brand power of Chanel or Google, who have taken decades and millions to build their brands. Moving on, why should you find your why?
And I think if you can explain the why of things, then that makes a huge difference to people's motivation.
Yeah.
Then they understand purpose.
Yeah.
So I think that's pretty important.
85% of sales tactics fail because sales team do not understand the company's purpose. If you do not have time or money to fail, listen up. What is your purpose? Would you say it's making money? Is that the message you would happily communicate to your clients? Money is the byproduct of driving meaningful purpose. You need to be really clear about your purpose of why you are doing what you are doing, or what would you like to achieve.
So with Tesla, the goal is to try to accelerate the advent of sustainable transport.
Have you ever heard of Elon discussing profit as his main objective? Never. He is about purpose and mission, which is why he was able to sell Teslas before they were even produced and fund the space missions before his rockets were ready. His purpose is why so many people are fascinated by his businesses and persona. If his purpose was just the money and the fame, he could have stopped when he sold his first company for $200 million at the age of 21. Instead, he chose to run Tesla, that was loss-making at the time. The company turned a full-year profit in 2020. That's 17 years after it was first founded. It was Elon's purpose that made it easy for him to find funding for any of his ventures, often at record speeds, which made all the difference between the life or death of the company. Apple is another great example. If Apple were like everyone else, a marketing message from them would sound like this: "We make great phones. They have bionic chip processors and 24mm main camera." Do you think Apple would be as popular as they are today if they had this marketing message? Instead, they communicate their purpose. We believe in thinking differently. We believe in challenging the status quo. The way we challenge the status quo is we make our products easy to use and beautifully designed, and do that before everyone else. That's why Apple is able to sell whatever products they make, as the purpose belongs to the company, not the product. Now that you have found your why, let's make it official. Let's formalize your business. This is exciting. You need to choose a name. Just check Companies House and internet domain names to ensure the name is not taken. If not, I strongly suggest you buy the domain names for major extensions like .com and your own country, plus set up social media accounts across platforms, even if you do not intend to use them. Initially, it is just to protect your name so that someone else can't do it and later sabotage you. Now you need to decide which legal form your business should take. Limited company, or LLC in USA, is always less risky, as any legal claims will be limited to the assets inside the company and your personal assets are protected. If you are in the USA, some states, such as Wyoming, Nevada, and Delaware, are known for having business-friendly rules and cheap filing fees that a lot of out-of-state entrepreneurs choose to file their LLCs there. If you are self-employed or equivalent in your country, you will be responsible with all the assets you personally own. However, the accounting is significantly easier for the self-employed, while you would need an accountant to do your books for a limited company. When you register your business that you run from home, you can register the business address elsewhere by buying a registered address or virtual business address in most countries. That way, your home address is not public. Next step. Once you are registered, you must open a business bank account, regardless if you are a company or a self-employed. Money related to business transactions must be kept separate. You will also need business and potentially public liability insurance. Speak to your local insurance broker to find out about local requirements. The insurance will protect you with legal costs in case of any disputes. If you are selling to businesses, you will need to have contracts in place with your clients. It is there to protect you as well as them, and really helps you to be clear about your scope of services and how any disputes should be resolved. Having clear terms in place will avoid conflict later on and makes you look professional. You will also need your own website. At this stage, be sure to be resourceful and not splash out. There are so many cheap ways to create a stunning website. You will most likely end up changing things down the line, so make sure you have that option without incurring great costs each time. Finally, boom, you're officially in business. Final step. Get your first customers. Customers don't just show up, you have to find them. Depending on your business, you will either have clients who are other businesses, in other words B2B, or customers who are individuals or consumers. The marketing and sales to those two types is very different. Watch out for our next videos on how to market and sell to those two groups. The most important thing here is understanding your client and your audience. Really understanding them. Who are they? What are their pain points? How do they feel about certain things? What is their socio-economic background? Where do they entertain themselves? What do they laugh at and what are their frustrations? Understanding your client inside out is the make or break of your sales and marketing strategy. Remember when we said you have to be passionate? If you are, you will know your client inside out and can relate to them. This is your key to success. You will also have to narrow your audience to a certain group of people. If you address too wide audience, you will sell to no one. It's better to start narrow, and once you are known and have credibility, you can widen your market. Tesla's first car was the Tesla Roadster, a fully electric sports car, which debuted in 2008 and originally cost $109,000. They slowly started building cheaper and more affordable models, latest being the Model 3, starting at $42,490 in 2025. If you are passionate about your business and there is product market fit, it will be an easy sell. 80% of our communication is body language, and you cannot fake it. If you love what you do, clients, investors, and employees will want to associate themselves with you and can get excited about the product in the same way as you do. Here are the key steps to your sales process. Post regularly to relevant social media, selling the outcome and the dream relevant for your audience. Remember, we talked about the why and the purpose. No one is interested in the nitty-gritty. Be honest about your journey. It builds trust and support and is in itself a great marketing strategy. Create a community where like-minded people can share their experiences. Give more than you take. You may need to provide some free services in return of reviews and recommendations. This builds trust and attracts more customers. Listen to the feedback like your life depends on it, because it does. At this stage, be agile and willing to make changes based on what the market tells you. In summary, know your purpose, know your audience, and be consistent. Don't give up after 2 weeks if you don't go viral. And there you have it. Starting your own business isn't some impossible dream, it's totally doable. The hardest part? Taking that first step. When Henry Ford made cheap, reliable cars, people said, "Nah, what's wrong with a horse?" That was a huge bet he made, and it worked. So you could either watch it happen or be a part of it. In 6 months, you will have 6 months of excuses or 6 months of progress. 6 months will arrive either way. Don't wait around to get started. Start now and perfect later. Drop a comment below and tell me what business idea you're thinking about. And if you found this helpful, hit that like button, subscribe, and let's make this journey together. See you in the next video, where we will focus on mindset, sales, PR, and how to grow your new startup.